What?
This past weekend,
You biked 170 miles
ish.
and you're still with us?
He's going to be a little groggy today, so
Okay.
he's still
Congratulations.
recuperating. It's a cancer ride. I'm sure he'll be happy to share with you. Yeah, I don't like driving 170 miles.
I know. I can't imagine.
I could do 30 miles on my best day.
On a bicycle? I can't go that far anymore.
No, yeah.
I'm lucky I can get on the bicycle still.
And 5 runners that do it in a relay, and then
I tried to swing my leg over the other day and it was like, oh, jeez.
I have to position this iPad in front
How are we doing,
of me so
Anna?
my
Good?
Cleavage doesn't show. Positioning the
Is Peggy coming?
cleavage doesn't show.
Is Stephanie coming?
I got it.
They're both coming. Anna, have you heard if the governor's zeroed out any preservation money?
Not that I've heard of.
Okay.
I think I will do that, though.
We're going back to Jimmy Carter times. Zero-based budgeting. That's it.
Yes.
Freezing cold.
All right. It's all right. Just, I don't have a problem being in the corner. It's all right.
Oh, new guys in the edge, new guys at the edges.
Nice on the end.
Yeah, new guys at the edges.
Better. Not still
It's
not.
all right.
Okay, can I start? I'll do with the readings. Okay, let me know when to go.
Recording in progress.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the City of Coral Gables Historic Preservation Board. We are residents of Coral Gables and are charged with the preservation and protection of historic or architecturally worthy buildings, structures, sites, neighborhoods, and artifacts, which impart a distinct historical heritage of the city. The board is comprised of 9 members, 7 of whom are appointed by the commission, 1 by the city manager, and the 9th is selected by the board and confirmed by the commission. 5 members of the board constitute a quorum, and 5 affirmative votes are necessary for the adoption of any motion. Any person who acts as a lobbyist pursuant to the City of Coral Gables Ordinance Number 2006-11 must register with the city clerk prior to engaging in lobbying activities or presentations before city staff, boards, committees, and/or the city commission. A copy of the ordinance is available in the office of the city clerk. Failure to register and provide proof of registration shall prohibit your ability to present to the Historic Preservation Board and applications under consideration this afternoon. Lobbyist is defined as an individual, corporation, partnership, or other legal entity employed or retained, whether paid or not, by a principal who seeks to encourage the approval, disapproval, adoption, repeal, passage, defeat, or modifications of A, any ordinance, resolution, action, or decision of any city commissioner. B, any action, decision, recommendation of the city manager, any city board or committee, including but not limited to quasi-judicial, advisory board, trust, authority, or council. Or C, any action, decision, or recommendation of city personnel during the time period of the entire decision-making process on the action, decision, or recommendation which foreseeably will be heard or reviewed by the city commission or a city board or committee, including but not limited to quasi-judicial, advisory board, trust, authority, or council. Presentation made to this board is subject to the city's false claims ordinance, Chapter 39 of the City of Coral Gables City Code. I now officially call the City of Coral Gables Historic Preservation Board meeting of June 20th, 24 to order. The time is 4:03 p.m. Present today are, to my left, Mr. Banos, Mr. Silva, Ms. Dene, Mr. Maxwell. To my right, Ms. Spain, Ms. Alvarez, Mr. Jarana, and myself, Cesar Garcia Pons. At this time, let's take a look at, actually, let me take a look at this guy. Approval of the minutes from the last couple of meetings. There were 2 minutes provided in the agenda. Does anybody wish to make a motion for the approval of the minutes of February 21st, 2024? Anna?
I do have one change to the March minutes, just to make a correction that Mr. Gillis was excused and not absent.
Okay, so when we get to March, we'll add that in. Does any motion for the February 21st minutes?
Move
by Ms.
acceptance of the minutes of February 21st,
Moved by
2000.
Mr. Maxwell, second
I'll second.
by Mr. Silva. And let's do March. Or no, let's do that one. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain. I wasn't
Mr.
here.
Banos?
Okay, so approved.
Mr. Banos is abstaining. Thank you, sir.
No, sorry, he's
He
permitted
can
to
vote,
vote.
right?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. There,
required
I
to.
approve.
Thank you. Then also, how about a motion for the March meeting with the marking Mr. Gillis as excused instead of absent?
So move as amended.
Mr. Banos? Second.
Second.
Ms. Dene? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Please be advised that this board is a quasi-judicial board, and the items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature, which requires board members to disclose all ex parte communications. An ex parte communication is defined as any contact, communication, conversation, correspondence, memorandum, or other written or verbal communication that takes place outside a public hearing between a member of the public and a member of a quasi-judicial board regarding matters to be heard by the quasi-judicial board. If anyone has made any contact with a board member when the issue comes before the board, the member must state on the record the existence of the ex parte communication, the party who originated the communication, and whether the communication will affect the board member's ability to impartially consider the evidence to be presented regarding the matter. Does anybody have any ex parte communications they wish to express at this time? Deferrals. Ms. Pernas, are there any deferrals? Are there any items on the agenda to be deferred today?
There are no items.
Thank you. If we're going into swearing in, if you wish to speak before the board today, if you could stand up and be sworn in, please. And if there's anyone on Zoom, you must be present on camera. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get to the first item on the agenda. A special certificate of appropriateness, case file COA SP 2024-012, continued. An application for the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness for the property at 1318 South Greenway Drive, a contributing resource within the Country Club of Coral Gables Historic District and the Coral Rock Residents Thematic Group, legally described as lots 7 and 8, Block 12, Coral Gables Section E, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 8 at page 13 of the public records of Miami-Dade County, Florida. The application requests approval of a variance from Section 2-101D 4BI or 1 of the Coral Gables zoning code for the minimum side setback for the carport.
Thank you.
Ms.
Can I have the PowerPoint, please? So location map, you guys have seen this property 2 times now, and probably within this year. The latest being in April of this past year. This is, oh, I thought there was a photo in here, but I don't think I put it in. Just kidding. Okay, so we'll go straight to the survey. So this house was constructed in 1922, predating the incorporation of the city. It was later issued permit 336. There are no original drawings to date. However, the structures on site are original to the site, including the carport. In April of this year, the applicant came back to you with a revised plan to extend the carport. The initial plan was to demolish the carport. They are not doing that. They're going to extend the carport. So you all gave them approval in April, along with some modifications to add to the accessory building in the rear. In order to accomplish what you all approved, they do need a variance. So we had thought maybe since they were not demolishing the carport and rebuilding it, they're just extending it, they need a variance to do so because it's non-conforming. So just to refresh your memory, the carport is there on the left-hand side. They're just extending it to the rear, keeping the existing setback, not changing anything from what you all saw. We are in support of the variance because, you all approved it. And we're okay with it, and we were okay with it then. So it's just to clean up y'all's COA from last time.
Thank you, Ms. Couts. Does anybody else, the owner, wish to speak? Are we ready to go? Any questions for the city?
Just to show you all in case you want to, public wants to see it. So.
Thank you, Ms. Couts. Any questions or comments for staff from the board?
Just, the neighbor doesn't have
Goodbye,
any objection to, sorry,
Thank you, sir.
the neighbor next door doesn't have any objection to the extension?
We had initially advertised the variance back with the first COA when they wanted to demolish and rebuild it because they needed the same variance. So we got no responses from the advertisement, from this advertisement, from that one. So there's been no comment.
No?
Sure. Mr. Silva? No? Mr. Maxwell?
Yes, Kara, this is on the east side, right? And it's,
Yes.
what about, it's a variance, it's supposed to be a 5-foot setback?
Correct.
And and given the existing structure, it's a 2-foot 10?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So they're maintaining the 2'10".
Thank you. No. Let's open it for public comment. Does anybody from the public wish to speak in favor or against this case? Okay, thank you. Closing public comment, bringing it back to the board. Is there any further discussion, or would somebody like to make a motion? And I would like to say Ms. Rolando has joined us.
All right, so I would like to make a motion for approval of the application request for the variance on section 2-102D for the extension of the carport with the, outside of the minimum setback, setback required by the code.
Motion by Mr. Banos. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Maxwell. Any additional discussion? Let's call the roll.
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes.
Mr. Durana?
Yes.
Ms. Dene?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Rolando?
I'm abstaining because I did not hear the full presentation.
Okay. Ms. Spain?
Yes.
Mr. Banos?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Mr. Garcia Pons?
Yes, motion's approved, 8-0 with one abstention.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next case, case file COASP 2024-018, an application for the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness for the property at 1115 Obispo Avenue, a contributing resource within the Obispo Avenue Historic District, legally described as Lot 16, Block 17, Coral Gables, Section C, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 8 at page 26 of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County, Florida. The application requests design approval for additions and alterations to the residence and auxiliary structure and site work.
Could we have the presentation, please? The property at 1115 Obispo Avenue is considered a contributing resource within the Obispo Historic District. The home was designed by architect George Fink in 1924 for owners Sutcliffe and Fox. Although alterations to the property have occurred, the overall historic integrity of the home has been maintained. The property was also designated a Coral Gables cottage in 1997. Two one-story additions are proposed to the existing residence. The first takes place at the northwest corner of the residence and to the rear. The second at the northeast corner of the residence and to the east. Both the northwest and northeast corners of the home are later infill additions that squared off the rear of the home. Both later additions will be removed and reconstructed, again squaring off the rear of the home. A shed-roofed covered terrace is proposed to span almost the length of the rear of the existing residence, and the second addition is proposed to the east of the residence, north of the original carport. It is under a flat roof with a parapet extending almost the length of the northeast corner of the home. The interior of the home will be reconfigured, and alterations to the exterior of the home, including the restoration of several and missing removed features, will be discussed below in the analysis. At the auxiliary structure, allowed to be a living space per the Coral Gables cottage designation, a small addition at the southeast side fills in an existing void and gives the building a rectangular footprint. Windows and doors will be modified and interior layout will be reconfigured. The east of the structure is depicted as being new construction. This needs to be clarified for permitting, and the auxiliary structure, and in addition, the auxiliary structure is not visible from the public right-of-way. Site work includes new paver driveway, swimming pool, relocation of the generator, and removal of the front walkway. Staff recommends approval with the conditions as noted. The proposed modifications are compatible with the historic character of the property.
Good afternoon. My name is Rebecca Carballo. I'm with Pacheco Architecture, and I'm the architect of record for this remodeling. This is a rendering of how we are restoring most of the original architectural features that were present in the home, including to the right, there is the kind of bell tower shaped structure, which had disappeared sometime throughout the past years, and we're bringing it back, as well as a cast stone ornamentation above the windows. We're also redesigning the front entry steps and the stoop, and essentially trying to make it to what George Fink wanted it to look like back in the 20s. It's beautiful. This is the location of the property in Obispo, the neighboring context. These are the pictures of the house as I found it. See where it was, a lot of the beautiful features had been removed, and even the windows on the right had been modified. So we are wanting to bring it back to the one large arched window that it was. This was the addition that was done in the rear. It was a laundry room, so the interior spaces are kind of very divorced from the backyard. So the goal of the remodeling was to create a covered terrace so the owners can, enjoy the rear of the property. And there is also the side there, which is the other area where we're doing a master bathroom addition and laundry, just to give the home a little bit more of the comforts of today. This is the other side where we wanted to bring back 2 windows that were missing in the living room. They were removed, so we wanted to put those back there to bring more light into the space. This is the rear cottage structure, which was originally a garage and sometime then converted into a living space. So the client wants to use it as a man cave. So we're basically, creating an area for him to work out and work. And he wanted to really maximize the space. So we did feel it was necessary to bring in that area that is, that area here that is. Here that is. Okay, at the screen, sorry. This here, we wanted to bring that out and make it flush. So, and also add more windows and doors to this facade as well, which was very blank. And the landscaping in the pool, so all of that, those miscellaneous, those kind of messy looking trees will be removed and made to look a little bit more formal, if you will. This is the original images of the home. For some reason, the bell tower, I don't know if it was ever built, but it was on the drawings. And I thought it was quite beautiful, so we found a way to bring it back. This is the original floor plan of the home. Is that it? The original, oops, sorry.
They just may be big files.
Oh, so be patient. Okay. No problem. Let's see, I don't know, it's not working.
Can we go to the previous slide? IT?
Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess, okay, let me find where I was. Okay. So these were the original side elevation and front elevation there. We are going to use raised muntins for the windows. Go to my elevations. Some images of the original home. This is the floor plan of the original home. And this is our proposal site plan where you have the carport. The carport is still in the same location. We're preserving that. This is the master bathroom and closet addition. This is the covered terrace addition. We're also doing an addition here. We do have to rebuild this wall because it's in very poor condition. I believe that was one of the comments. So upon my visit with my structural engineer, he recommended that we rebuild it. And that's the reason for that, but it's in the same location and the same height as well. Area calculations. Let's see. Is that repeating? Okay, here we go. So I do have a question just on the previous presentation that you did. I did not request for a variance for this structure. It is lining up with the. Okay, here.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's no request for a variance in the application.
yeah, there's no, I guess I'm fine. Okay, I'm fine. Just want to make sure I don't need to request for any variances.
So the property is designated as a cottage, which relaxes the setbacks. They can go up to 2.5 feet by code. So you are considered a cottage, so anything up to 2.5 feet, you're allowed without a variance.
Yeah, it wasn't a comment. I don't think we're encroaching, actually. It's another property, sorry. So, okay. But essentially, this is the addition, and we kept a flat roof with a parapet in that area as well. The entire house with the same barrel tile ornamentation around the top of the parapet, which you'll see in our elevations. So this is the existing and the new. We are removing this detail that really, I didn't feel it was doing anything for the home, and then trying to, bringing back this large arch window as opposed to the two small arch windows, bringing back the square windows on this side. And then adding a little bit of a different type entry canopy in the front, and also adding the cast decorative detail around the door that was also original. One of the other comments was the height of the windows. So in the original microfilm, I did see that the original windows here were 30 inches from the finished floor. When I measured the house, they were 24 inches. And so the windows that I'm proposing are using that same height that's existing today. So I'm not sure how to address that, I guess.
Ms. Carballo, address the board.
Okay. Just want to make sure that she understands. Yeah.
It's
Okay. That was one of the comments of her conditions for approval, so I think we should clarify what is desired. This is the side elevation. We are keeping these vent details that are also out of the barrel tile. And then these are the new windows for the kitchen and the living room and the family room. And this is the structure. That's a very simple structure with wood made to look very modest and in line with the aesthetic of the home. This is the rear elevation, the new rear elevation with the covered terrace here. And the side elevation, the new side elevation were the addition. This is the addition right here, all this area. The cottage structure. Again, the cottage structure. These are just cross sections showing the parapet design. Some more cross sections. Don't want to bore you, but I think you get this is, our presentation, our proposal for your approval. Thank you.
Ms. Carballo. Any questions for the architect while she's here with her drawings in front of her?
Just, if
Mr.
I
Baños,
can-
please.
So the original drawings on the house on where the side window is, by the way, I love that you kept the tower, very nice. But the original drawings had an egress door going through that front side room, right? Which is what you have here as essentially as either a studio or an extra bedroom. That used to be an open space. Am I understanding that properly?
When I visited the home, it was the first bedroom to the right. Let me take you back to the floor plan. So this area here was a kind of a library, and it didn't have a door.
I'm just looking at the original plans
Yeah.
here from the microfiche that you
Okay.
have. So it looked like, from the original pictures, that was like a sunroom or something, or maybe at some point in time.
Possibly in the beginning, it looked like this was some type of maybe porch, because the original elevation showed a screen, that large arched opening had a screen.
Got it.
And through the years, it was enclosed, and when I visited the home, it was a study, a library.
Right.
We are adding the access door here, which is into the hall, kind of to
To
have
come
a
into
side
the
entry.
back, the question that I have is just to thinking of the functionality of that room. It's a possible, and maybe somebody in the board that knows better than me, but can it be a situation where that front window can actually act as almost like a door, so that if you wanted to make it a studio, like a painter studio or something like that, consistent with sort of the original view of the house or the original concept of the house as an open space, that'll be something that they could use in that vein, as opposed to just an extra bedroom in the house? Oh, can they, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Banos. It's clear, but please into the microphone.
I apologize. I'll be a little better, okay? So, I'm a novice at this, so I just want to make sure that I'm not overstepping the ideas behind it. But I like the idea that it was originally conceived of the house as an open space, and if it could be modified, or at least the design could be modified to preserve the existing house, but also give that space a duality if somebody wished to ever have that possibility.
So it's difficult to see, and I'm curious for my board members, but if you look at the drawings, it was always a balconied enclosed space and not meant to be a door for a front door. It was a sleeping porch, most probably.
Yeah.
So if the intention is to go back to its original state, I don't know if that would be the best way to handle that approach. Anybody else has a
I
comment?
think in addition, it doesn't have steps or anything to it, so you would have to alter that front terrace.
In order to get that there, yeah.
Accommodate it, and that
Yeah.
would really change the front facade. So I would have an issue with that.
And also to the side is a carport, which would eliminate the ability to park a car because it's very tight.
Because you wouldn't be able to egress that room in any way other than through those windows, right?
Yeah, the windows on the side are casement windows, which will be egress windows, but not,
Right, but
you'd have to
there
climb
wouldn't be
into the window.
it wouldn't be a
No.
door to it. All right, so
Yeah, the
that was my only question.
Yeah, she's going to use it as like an art studio. She paints, so I don't know. She never requested that, need to have that as a space that could exit from the outside. It's also right next to the front door, so I think it works.
But I love that you kept the idea of the tower and everything else. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very well done. And
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Banos. Any other questions, Ms. Alvarez?
I have a question.
I-
Thank you. The project looks great. So I was looking at the original elevations, the Fink drawings, and it seems like in the front, there are 3 pairs of 2-leaf windows that have 4 lights. So I'm wondering, if you had considered, reproducing that instead of single pane casements that only have, 3 and 3 lights stacked.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, 'cause it changes the scale significantly. If you zoom in, if you want, on the left,
Here?
on the lower left.
It's also one of our conditions.
Oh,
Right,
it is?
so Anna, if you could speak into the mic, please. Some people are having Anna, if you could speak into the mic next time. People
Okay.
are hard to hear. Mr. Silva, did you want to?
No, I just wanted to bring up that is one of staff's conditions, right, to revisit
Okay.
the windows and try to get back to the original configuration.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna have some questions as well.
Oh,
you
no,
have
just
any other
also on the staff report was how you plan to do that detail surround on the door? Because it's, it's obviously, these drawings are very schematic. So how would,
Yeah, we have a cast detail for that. Going back to the windows, so just to clarify, so you're referring to that this is a casement,
yeah,
and
so it
this-
looks like there are 3 pairs, and then
Right.
that window unit repeats elsewhere in the house, and they function as 2-leaf
Right.
pairs, and they have 4
Oh,
lights
four-
versus 3.
four side, okay. Let me go to
Definitely
my
more because the
elevation.
windows are open in the.
Yes.
Yes, I saw that in the picture.
Correct, okay. Oh, what is this? Okay. So let me go to my elevation.
And I know with the new impact products, it's hard to get things exact, but is there an opportunity to do a front door similar to what was there? Are you working with a custom door manufacturer, or is it?
Yes, the general contractor that we're working with also has several other historic homes that he's remodeling in the Gables. So he's putting me in contact with the same vendors so that, go to the elevation here. Okay, so I think the primary reason is because we were trying to make a relationship with the 2 sides. And this was, it's a very large window. So when you add a lot of muntins, it could become a little bit overwhelming. And I felt it was important to relate the size, the side, the amount of lights I have here and here. And for that reason, it's almost like this is what kind of dictated this side. Originally, this had, it was a screen, so it had a railing, and it was a little bit of a different proportion, the amount that would be glass and the amount that was a railing. So my only concern is that if I add more muntins here, how that will kind of seem a little bit more, more busy with the right side.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
So I guess in new construction, I think that would be a consideration, but I feel like, so the opening on the right side is now not meant, right now
The
it's not
fixed window.
reproducing the original condition.
Not
And
exactly.
it's not, but I think the windows that don't follow the original light configuration is unfortunate, because I think it really changes the scale of the house when the lights are too big. I think that arched opening on the right would be, I don't have the answer, but it's just a separate design exercise than.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be it's still a condition of our approval that they go back to match the original configuration. And one of the conditions that, for the larger opening, I think BOA members that were reviewing it, they did want it to be differentiated, so I think it'll actually help to have the different pattern. I think you're worried that it'll compete, but I think it'll kind of help differentiate the new and the old opening. And that's something that they had kind of recommended for that larger opening, to have a less spaced out configuration.
Thank you. Ms. Alvarez, any further?
No.
So currently, it's a condition to change if you want to.
I mean, I'd rather not change
Okay.
it because I prefer a less busy facade. I think, if it were a screen opening with a railing and it was the original, then I agree. But since it's changed, I'd rather those lines line up a little bit more. So, I don't know.
Thank you.
That's my
I
opinion.
think we understand. We have many different opinions.
Sure.
I know that many of us are going to say go back to the
Sure.
same ones. I may not be one of those, but we'll see what the motion is when it comes up. Any other? Go ahead,
I have
Mr.
a question
Grana.
though. So we're talking, going back to the original would be the rectangular ones on the left.
It would be the 4-panel.
And the arch, got it. So, but the arch, we would match the same style, or we
It
would
would
differentiate?
there's no original because it was screen.
Yeah, correct,
So
correct.
it would be coordinated with staff.
Well, I'm saying match the ones to the left, I'm saying. We don't, okay.
And that wasn't a requirement. I think they said the Board of Architects asked that maybe it be slightly differentiated.
Rebecca, you would prefer it, or you wouldn't prefer it to match?
I prefer not to, also, I just prefer not to add more muntins, just because the, all around the house has a consistent language. I think we're differentiating the old with the new with the stucco. The old is going to have a more rough textured stucco. The new is still going to have some undulation in the stucco, but be differentiated. So I think there's, other things that we're using to differentiate. So you also asked about the ornamentation. See if I have that.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
I think IT said you're done.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Well, it's at the end. It was at the end. Yeah. So we basically, we tried to mimic exactly what was there. We, as bad as that original microfilm is, we stared at it for some time and really tried to come up with something very similar. And it's going to be just a smooth cast applied onto the facade. And then the door, my client was very selective with the door. She actually spent a lot of time researching front doors, and she wanted something with glass. So this was kind of one of those where we just were negotiating with the client to see the best solution for the facade, and thought, doing similar muntins and a wood-looking door for the front entrance.
Hold on, Mr. Maxwell?
Yeah, do you absolutely need to restucco the building?
It's, we,
Do you absolutely need
No.
to? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Durana.
Thank you.
Question, maybe you answered this, but I might have missed it. The bell tower you're going to add, how does historic, do they want us to differentiate that in stucco, or is it going to be matching the stucco? Because technically it was part of the original, right?
yeah, so.
That's just a question. I have a general question just for me personally.
Sure. Well,
what do we do
yeah, all
there?
of this will have the same.
I think
rough,
it should match, right?
Rough stucco, because all of this is the original. The additions are in the side and the rear.
Yeah,
So
'cause
that's
I think it would look
what-
weird if it's smooth
Yeah,
and then
no,
you have-
definitely. And I think the rough stucco will help to camouflage, any
Ms. Couts?
lines.
At some point, the house was restuccoed, it's smooth now. So
I'm sorry?
The house was restuccoed, it's smooth now. So they're restoring the appropriate texture back to the house as opposed to stuccoing over good texture.
Thank
Right.
you.
You're welcome.
Oh,
Are
maybe
you
that's
okay
what-
with the bell tower being the same stucco pattern, or does that
Yeah.
technically have to be
Yeah,
different?
because they're restoring
the
the original
original.
feature back, and so I'm fine with it being the same.
Okay.
And so if you look at the pictures of it now, it's very smooth, and they're putting it back.
Thank
Karen,
you.
While you're up, I have a question. I apologize. Was this Ellen's house?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Silva.
Thank you.
Luciano.
I agree with Anna on the comments about the window. I think we should try and get back to the original as closely as possible. And so this is kind of a weird situation because you're measuring something that's there now and that may or may not be the original construction, right? So
Correct.
in this house in particular, because that bell tower, when was that picture? That first picture that we have, the earliest, the 40s? So I assume that bell tower was there at some point, but we don't know, right? So there could have been deviations from the drawings, but if we're being guided by the drawings, I think we should be guided by the drawings and be consistent in that sense. And if we're bringing back that bell tower, I think we should kind of bring back those openings as they were, which includes the window configuration and the button configuration. And I think the studio room, the side what was the old sleeping porch, I think makes sense to treat that as a separate thing with larger openings. I think that your rendering actually shows it almost like a porch, right? Those mullions are really strong and the muntins are less strong. I would like to see more of that, less mullions and more kind of getting back to the original screen configuration. And sorry, one last question for staff as well. Condition number 6 said to keep you guys were asking for the same size openings except where they're restoring. On the side elevation, I'm a little confused about what we're calling original and what is.
Right, some had already been enclosed or partially enclosed for like bathrooms, and I think she was trying to create like a more regular rhythm.
Right,
So we just wanted to make sure there was a caveat that any of the original openings that hadn't been already altered were remaining.
'Cause I think
And the
her-
sills were
yeah.
also remaining.
I think her configuration makes sense, but I just want to
Right.
make sure you weren't objecting to that.
No, I think that's right. We're just making sure that the ones that are there stay there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions for the architect or staff?
I have one question.
Ms. Spain?
On the front facade, I'm hung up on the front facade. On what used to be the screened porch, that larger opening that you're now bringing back, which is great. There's no reason really that you have to have a muntin pattern on that. I mean, you shouldn't be too concerned about trying to match up and make it, compatible, because that was screened.
Right.
I mean, you could do something on the bottom as if it was the original pickets and very minimal. And I'm sure staff would work with you on that, which I would prefer other than a mutton pattern.
Ms. Gilbert, can you zoom into where you were
Let me
showing
go to the
before? Because
rendering.
the original drawing showed the sort of tripartite screen. I think that's what Mr. Silva was saying also.
Right, it does have,
Yeah.
you see that? So we kind of tried to create the same
I see that.
aesthetic,
You have
but
that
with
at
the
same
heavier mullions, and then the lighter muntins to also create a hierarchy. It's a very large window. I have seen, today I was just driving and I saw a big picture window with no muntins, and I thought it looked very beautiful as well. I don't know, this was actually a topic of conversation with the Board of Architects as well, and we all agreed and we're happy with the end result, so I don't know if I would have to go back if I
Well,
change that.
no,
No?
no.
Okay.
Thank you for the board. The current condition reads, sorry, I want to get it right. All existing window openings are to be maintained unless where openings are being restored. All existing window sills are to remain. Windows on the new additions may be different than another one, but a detail was provided. No. There was one that said staff.
Condition 5.
Thank you very much. Window configurations are to match the original. Work with staff to restudy the window units and muntin patterns. If whoever makes a motion likes that condition, great. And if you want to be more specific, make sure to amend that motion or that condition. So any other questions for the architect or staff before I take it to public comment? Thank you, Ms. Carballo.
Thank you.
Let me open up the item for public comment. Does anybody wish to speak in favor or in opposition of this case? You can step
Oh, I
away
sit
from the
down?
dais. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, hearing none, we're bringing out to the board. Is there any discussion from the board members on this item? I really appreciate the robust question and answer period.
No, I wanted to ask Ms. Spain, because can you give me a little better sense of what you were saying about how to modify that larger window so that it's more consistent with the original look of the?
Well, actually,
It's just your suggestion, I know.
I understand. I mean, honestly, I would love to see the pickets come back and put the glass behind it, so it actually looks like it was originally a porch. So I'm probably not the right person to ask. Because
the
if
thing
it
is,
were my home, that's what I would do.
I mean, I'm hung up on the same issue. I really would like for it to be consistent in that way. And I liked your suggestion that there'll be some, the railings will come back. Because in my sense, it is supposed to be a porch. So I don't want to take away from the homeowner the ability to have the enclosed space that they require for a bedroom, which I think for the usability of the property, given the fact that the property is already a small property, they cannot go to a second story, it's a cottage house, right? So it has a whole bunch of things that we want to be able to give them the room, but I would like it to look like it looked originally.
Right.
And
And maybe
this,
it doesn't have any muntins because it used to be a screen.
Right, and I love the fact that they're taking away the existing look of the house, which is not consistent with the look, but I would like it to look more like it looked originally. So I don't sure why the proper compromise would be there to make
I
it.
think they should work with staff. I have total faith that staff will come up with something that's appropriate.
So you're good with, as stated, condition 5, work with staff and configurations continue to match the original?
Yeah, I think that's the best route. And honestly, I think the homeowner has been pretty generous in bringing this house back to where a lot of people would have just remodeled the inside and not done anything to the outside and gotten out of here. So the fact they're putting a bell tower, which is extremely expensive, I can't imagine what that's going to cost, and all that stuff. So I think, I'm okay with them working with staff to kind of find a middle ground.
Yeah, it's very beautiful what they're doing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It looks great.
I mean, I love the change. It's especially the bell tower. So
It's a really good job becoming excellent.
Since Mr. Banos asked for an opinion, I'm going to give one. On page 2 of the staff report, the top image shows the original drawings, and there are a couple of major lines. And if the intention of the balustrades is too much, which in my opinion may be, if the two vertical ones are the ones that come through, and then the railing comes through, and if you can split it up into those pieces, I think that'll give the proportions that I think I would like to see. But I also agree that you can work that out with staff.
I would also add that in the 4-part muttons, that adds up. I mean, those align that way. But with the 3-part, it's very difficult to do it, mainly because of the lower part of the arch and how much it drops down.
Thank you. Any further comment? Any discussion? Does anybody wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Bain.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with the condition noted in the staff report, the design proposal for the addition and alterations to the residence and auxiliary structure and site work, the property located at 1115 Obispo Avenue.
Is there a second?
I would like to second that.
Second by Ms. Dene. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, just to clarify the motion, does it also include the issuance of the special certificate of appropriateness?
Well, I was going to ask you if I could.
Yes, at the same time,
And
please.
approve the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness with the conditions noted in the staff report.
Ms. Dene.
Yes, I would like to second that.
Okay, second by Ms. Dene. Both of them. Any discussion on the items? Are we clear that we're voting on both of them? Yes, let's call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Banos?
aye.
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes.
Mr. Durana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Rolando?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Dene?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Ms. Spain?
Yes.
And Mr. Garcia Pons?
Yes, motion passes 9-0. Thank you. Next case file COA SP 2024-020, an application for the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness for the property at 1021 Astudia Avenue, a local historic landmark legally described as Lot 17, Block 7, Coral Gables, Section C, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 8 at page 26 of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County, Florida. The application requests design approval for additions and alterations to the residence and site work.
Thank you. I am playing cleanup today. So, location of the property on Asturia, this was permit number 117 in the city, very early. The architect is unknown. It was designated as a local historic landmark in October of 2012. They then did some remedial work to the house, and it was designated as a cottage shortly after that work was done to get to the 12 criteria. In July of 2021, a special COA was issued for this exact same scope of work. As you all know, the COAs are good for a 2-year until they expire unless a permit has been issued, and a permit was not issued. They are now in permitting. I didn't realize that the permit has now expired. So we're coming back for a new COA to be issued so that they can continue with their permitting process. So I will tell you that there have been no changes to the previous application that was approved with conditions by this board. No variances are being requested. The exact same conditions of approval are the ones that were noted as before. And we are, of course, recommending approval so that they can move forward. There is a presentation. The owner is here if you would like to see his presentation. It is entirely up to you.
Let's, thank you, Ms. Couts. Let's hold off. And does the board wish to see a presentation of this extension?
No. Why, it would be a horrible thing for us to change our minds.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's just, I mean, I don't want to see it again either because I think it's fine to go ahead, but if,
I'm happy anyway.
Let's do process.
I don't think it's necessary.
okay, Mr. Maxwell would like to have a presentation, so if we can have a brief presentation, please.
Yes? Yours should be right after.
One of my favorite houses.
There you go. And just again, so you all know, the house is a cottage. They are keeping it at 1 story, so there are some relaxations to the setbacks and things. So again, we're in favor. Sorry, I was wrong.
Oh, that's okay.
Forward is forward.
Forward is forward, okay. Yes, like Harry said, we are,
If you could state your name for the record, please.
state my name?
Yeah.
So I'm David Britt. I'm one of the owners of the house.
Thank you, Dave.
As was previously stated, we are reapplying for approval. Due to my slow progress, we expired. So the project really hasn't changed. The photos on the right are or on the left are the historical ones. We did some remedial work to the building. We opened up the porch, put on, reestablished the barrel tile roof to make it look like the original. This is the current plan. Our proposal is to remove this sitting room in the back, which was a 70s addition. And then this is our proposed alteration. The addition in the back incorporates a library area, some storage, a master suite with an ensuite bathroom and an ensuite for one of the existing bedrooms. On the east side, we are utilizing the setback, the existing setback a little bit for the main volume of the master bedroom. Other than that, I believe we're in compliance with all the rest of the setbacks. These are the elevations. The front/south elevation does not indicate really any of the new addition, except for there's a little bit of the gable roof, which you most likely will not see from the street. The rear elevation, we are removing the 70s addition. We're going to take off all the security grills, replace all the windows with windows that match the existing, which were casements, mostly double casements, I believe, but some were single casements. And then this is the west elevation. You can see the addition to the north, keeping casements. We're going to try to delineate the new addition from the existing house. The existing house has that really rough stucco. We're proposing for the new addition to have a smooth stucco. Another differentiation is we are having a little bit of an overhang to differentiate between the two. On the east, we are proposing to enclose an existing egress door and shifting it a little bit to the north. We're going to provide a overhang with barrel tile roof over that. Other than that, that's pretty much it to the existing structure. This is the east elevation. We are, again, removing the security grills, reinstating the casement windows, and then trying to keep that look with the new addition. I believe that's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Britt. Any questions for the homeowner or staff? Thank you so much. Opening up to public comment. Does anybody wish to speak in favor or in opposition to this case? Hearing none, closing public comment, bring it back to the board. Any discussion or happy to entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Spain,
I'd like to make a motion to approve with conditions noted in the staff report the design proposal for the addition and alterations to the residence at 1021 Astoria Avenue, and approve the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness.
thank you. Ms. Spain, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Maxwell. Any discussion on the motion? Let's call the roll.
Okay. Ms. Alvarez?
Yes.
Mr. Durana?
Yes.
Ms. Dene?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Rolando?
Yes.
Mr. Banos?
Yes.
Ms. Spain?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Mr. Garcia Ponce?
Yes, motion passes 9-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Perenas, any board items, city commission, or city projects updates?
We have a new member,
Yes,
Mr.
welcome.
Banos, and that means we have a full board. So we will be organizing a orientation now. So I'll maybe schedule a few dates, poll the board to pick some time before, and we'll try to do it before the next meeting, if not the next month or so.
Thank you.
That's it for me.
Great. Any discussion items from the board?
But I do
Mr.
have something.
Banos.
So you made a point last meeting, okay, talking about what could the board do whenever the items go to appeal to the commission to sort of give them a better understanding of the board's position, okay? Because, and I found this serving on the Board of Adjustment, we have a very detailed, quite sincere, open discussion about every single item. And as attorneys tend to do, and I'm one of those people, okay? When you get to the commission, there's one item out of 27 that they have to deal that day. They have a small window to deal with it. And, you know, as the smartest lawyers do, they focus on the one weakness the case had and then pound that in, and then all their 3-hour discussion that the board had is lost. So a possibility, I thought, and I've seen this done in other cities, in which the same advocacy that is brought in by the applicant is also brought in by the city, meaning that there is either a city attorney or somewhat of that who actually makes a presentation, or maybe as an alternative, whoever is in the any board member who's in the majority for the decision as to the preservation of that house should be the one also being there as a witness making a presentation to the commission. So I thought as an idea, it's something for discussion. I would like to see, for whatever reason, what the legality of that is, what the process is, or maybe something that we can put in the agenda for the next board meeting, and then eventually for that to go as a form of ordinance or modification to the commission.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't know if the city attorney wants to mention something now or talk about it at the next meeting.
I'm happy to discuss it at the next meeting, but generally that's something we have been discussing internally as well and looking at. I don't know that it would require an ordinance change necessarily, but it's something we are working closely with staff on and with the city manager and city attorney. So thank you for bringing it up. But yes, it's something that we're aware of and have looked at, and we have had city attorneys in sort of split roles in that way before. So it's something that we're going to look at closely.
Thank you. I'd also be
So, but
curious.
if we could leave it as a standing item for next board meeting, so that it's something that we get a report on every single meeting until we have an understanding. Because what I would hate to happen is for all the effort that happens in this board to not necessarily go to waste, but to be somewhat undermined when it goes to the commission.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to make it a standing item. I do want it as an item on the next agenda for sure.
Yeah.
I would also like if there's, what other similar quasi-judicial boards do. Like, I don't want to make sure it's something that is hopefully consistent with city practice.
This is the only quasi judicial board I'm aware of that has had items appealed to the city commission in recent history. So I don't know that there's other past practices to look at, but it's certainly something we will evaluate what other cities do, what other appellate procedures are in other cities, because believe it or not, you guys are the only ones who are regularly appearing before the city commission. Planning and zoning is a recommending board. A board of adjustment doesn't have many appeals. So like I said, it's something we can look at closely.
Thank
Could
you.
just briefly educate us?
Mr. Nate, can you speak into the microphone, please?
Trying. Could you briefly educate us on the basics of what happens during these appeals? I've attended some of them, and it seems like there's very robust presentations. So if you could maybe explain that to us.
Actually, Madam City Attorney, can we do this at the next meeting?
Certainly, I'm happy to come bring a presentation on those appellate procedures. Generally, they're based on the record below is my very short answer to you, Ms. Dunaj, but I can certainly provide some additional information about what that process is and what should and should not be considered by the city commission in those appeals.
And also what staff's role is at an appeal.
Certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Banos. Mr. Silva.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a quick question. I don't want to step on Mr. Maxwell's toes, but the two items we discussed at the last meeting, I think it was at the last meeting, the lighting and the roundabout on Granada. I know that Public Works had pledged to kind of keep us in the loop and keep you in the loop. Has there been any progress made there, and have they been keeping you in the loop?
Yeah, so for the application for Granada, that right now got approval from City Commission at the last meeting, and that was just to submit an application for the grant. Then they'll go through the process, and that grant will then allow them to go through the process of redesigning and taking into consideration the comments that you all made, but also including staff in that proposal, because the designs that they had there were dated, is the way I'll state it, and they know that they need improvements, and they want to take into consideration the historic photos that we provided them and all of that. So we'll see how it all gets
I
involved.
want to make sure that you're in.
Yeah, they're just in that first layer where I'm going to try to. We do have staff meetings after every commission hearing, so we do talk frequently. And then for the streetlights, I did request an update, and so they're waiting from a letter from FPL as like a response to the resolution. And the manager's office was then going to see where we go from there, of having an internal meeting or having one that maybe the members of two boards can attend.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Any other discussion items, old business, new business?
I'll leave it for next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Banos. All right, let us adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much.